together to talk about this movie?
It's been a long time. Yeah.
Probably when it came out. It was
So like 22 years ago.
I didn't talk after it came out. It was kind of an uncomfortable situation for me.
This is the first time we've talked in 22 years.
Wow. Okay, so
It turns out that he made me the character, and I didn't know that was going to happen.
So when did you find out? When you first saw the film?
Yeah, on opening night.
At the premiere?
Yeah, it was very embarrassing to me.
Oh, okay.
He and Nicholas got in a fight, actually. It was very uncomfortable.
That was my question for you, actually. That was what I was going to ask you. So I've heard over the years that he's doing me, and I'm wondering if that was your direction, if that's even true.
I can't remember.
He did invite me over to his house for breakfast, not Spike, but McKee. So I think he was studying me then, but then I don't really think it seems like me, but I've been told that what he's doing does seem like me, so I can't tell. Anyway, sorry.
Well, I mean, I am curious about Nicolas Cage. I was gonna save this for later, but what was it like directing him? Like, when did you know that he was right to play Charlie and Donald Kaufman?
We had auditioned a lot of people, and and as we were auditioning, Charlie and I realized how difficult it was there'd be some actors that were great at one character, and other actors that were great at the Donald character, and I think we were that was the big revelation during casting of how hard it was to get somebody like Donald, who's so in their body and out and extroverted, and then somebody who could play the sort of anxiety and the neuroses of the Charlie character, which is totally unlike Charlie, by the way.
No, I don't see the resemblance at all, to be honest.
And I remember actually I was in a parking lot in Culver City, and I called Charlie, and somebody had suggested Nicholas, and we hadn't talked. I don't think we had talked about him. And I called it. You were very excited about it and Charlie was like, yes, for sure, just instantly. And it was really wild because we were struggling so much with that. And then as soon as somebody mentioned it, which I don't know why we hadn't thought of it before, it was kind of like a no-brainer. And it sort of just all fell into place. And I met with him maybe a week later, and he was just so open. He was so I asked him how he liked to work, and he said, he said he had his way of working, but he didn't want to do that. That wasn't interesting. He wanted to work however I work and however we work, and he basically just gave himself over to the entire thing, and he was really amazing to work with.
He strikes me as a good collaborator, like someone who's down to try something new and different. Yeah. What was your collaboration like with him, Charlie?
I mean, that was it, really. I went to his house for breakfast. And apparently he learned me.
Very quick study.
We had pancakes, and
did he make them?
No. His chef made them. It's funny because I went there, and it was like a very big house, and I was really nervous, and I drove up in this circular driveway thing, and I knocked on the door, and a British butler answered, and he said yes, and I said, I know who I am, and I'm here to see Nicolas Cage. And he gets on a little phone that's right in that alcove, and he goes, Mr. Cage, Mr. Kaufman is here to see you. And then from somewhere, up in a balcony, I hear, I'll be right down! And he'd been up there, with a heavy bag or something like that. He came down all sweaty and stuff. And then we went into the breakfast nook, and he studied me.
like under a lab microscope.
Yeah, I remember Spike asked if Casey, who was the costume designer, could look in my closet. And I said, no, he can't come into my closet. But then I wore this sort of in honor of, this is kind of how Nick dresses.
He had his stylist do this for him this morning.
Yeah, Casey did it.
So to go back even further, Charlie, when were you hired to adapt The Orchid Thief, and when did you realize that this was going to be your approach into the material?
You want years, or like which year, or like how long did it take? Because I couldn't tell you the year.
How long?
I could tell you the year.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
You got the job in the early 1998. And then
Why do you know that?
over that spring, you struggled really hard. It was about maybe 4 or 5, 6 months of struggling. And then I would say around May, June, you kind of started to have this idea to write yourself into it. And then I think by July, you were like, okay, I'm going to do it. And
You were shooting Malkovich at the time, is that right?
That's why I
Okay.
remember.
Yeah, okay. So actually what happened was, it was long, maybe it was that short. I thought it was longer, but what happened was,
It felt longer.
it felt interminable. It really did. And that's the thing I want to say before I say what I'm going to say, is that I was so depressed about not knowing how to do this script, and I was so worried about it, and that sort of gets lost in the movie because it's a movie, so you know it happened. You know, you're watching it and you go, okay, well, they figured that out. But I thought it was like the end of my career, and my career just started because they were shooting Malkovich. So I was really worried, and then I had this idea, like, well, what if I write about the thing I'm worried about, which is that I don't know how to write this, and put myself in it. And it seemed like a really stupid idea because it's just a stupid idea. But also, I wasn't well known or anything, and it seemed sort of like really presumptuous for me to make myself the star of a movie that's about Susan Orlean. But I went to the set of Being John Malkovich, and they were shooting the swamp scene at Warner Brothers, and I spoke to Spike, and I said, I have this kind of stupid idea, and so I want to give Spike credit, because Spike said, you have to do it, and so that's why I did it. So Spike is the reason.
It's funny because I thought we were on the set of the 7th half floor, sitting in that lobby where Mary Kay Place sat in the little like front office. And I remember you telling me, I thought it was there that you told me, and
You're probably right. I mean, you remember things better than I do. You know the year and everything, but
but I do remember being so excited. I was like, that's incredible, because I also do remember your anxiety over the months leading up to that.
yeah, it was terrible.
And I didn't understand why you decided to adapt that book. I was confused at why you took that job.
I wanted to do something real, something that didn't have a story. I wanted to make a movie about flowers.
And that's true. That's
all
actually
true.
very
It's
true.
everything.
I was like, okay.
Almost everything is not everything. I won't.
No, everything. It's,
No, not
it's a
everything.
documentary.
And Spike, did you know right away that you wanted to direct this potentially very weird idea?
As he was talking, when he told me that idea, I wanted to direct it without even reading it because I knew he would crush it. But he was writing it for Jonathan Demme to direct, and Jonathan and his producing partner Ed Saxon. Jonathan, after he read it, decided he didn't want to do it, and they jumped to Jonathan, and Ed called me and asked me if I wanted to do it. And by then I'd read it, and I was like, of course, I'd love to do it.
Was it like ever a hard sell, like for casting or financing or anything, like, or were people on board because they were willing to go there with like post Malkovich?
I think the script is so good that actors wanted to do it. I mean, actors auditioned for it. Great actors auditioned for it, and I think that. And same with Being John Malkovich, even though neither of us were known, I think this writing was so good, it people wanted to be a part of it.
Was writing Donald kind of cathartic at all? He seems like he's just like this person that you want to be because he's so uncomplicated and cheerful, like kind of smooth-brained a little bit.
It was fun to write him.
It was fun.
Yeah, he's a funny character, and I got to write funny lines for him.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it was cathartic for me. He was just basically I needed someone for Charlie to talk to, because he's by himself trying to write a screenplay for the movie. So I just invented this because it was such a stupid idea that I thought it would be funny to have one actor play identical twins as they do.
Yes, like in like Days of Our Lives or something.
Like in everything.
How often, when you were shooting, like how often did Nick Cage have to switch between the two characters?
Every day. I mean, we do multiple things a day, and yeah, we had a whole process. We rehearsed like 3 weeks before shooting to sort of lock in the characters and like do a lot of improv and you know, improv. I'd be one brother, he'd be the other, and we kind of had very clear idea of the two characters, and then on the day he would have to switch back and forth a few times, and yeah, it was amazing because the thing I didn't even realize that we needed also was somebody that was very technical, somebody who could hit all these moments and beats and look at a tennis ball and do an entire performance, and sometimes he would we'd go into the room, you know, on stage, and he'd record one side of the dialogue and with me, and then they'd cut me out, and then he'd listen to that in an earpiece, looking at a tennis ball, and do the dialogue off of his pre-recorded dialogue. And it was just, yeah, it was, and then of course he just embodies it also as in, you know, feeling it, but it's also very technical. And yeah,
People think that there's like a slight makeup change between the two characters.
I was
There's
trying to,
none.
really, I thought their hair looked different.
No.
And then I got confused. At the end, I was like, wait, no, who's who? Like, I was like, does Charlie have less hair than Donald?
Same number of hair.
Okay, you counted them all.
I did, yeah.
Good, you gotta check. And were you on set for the production, watching all of
we
it?
kicked him off as is in
Oh,
the
yes,
movie.
yeah. So
Uh,
yeah, you didn't see anything till the premiere.
No, you were around a lot actually.
Yeah, I was around a lot. It was exciting for me. It was.
This film had such an amazing response. Like, it was nominated for all these Academy Awards, won Academy Awards, but like, were you at all surprised that people resonated with it so much, or was that not surprising?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always surprised when that happens. I think I was more surprised with Malkovich, because that was the first thing, that was sort of out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, Hollywood loves movies about making movies, and this is definitely one that it feels very accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So it must have been sort of like funny or cathartic in some way to make a movie about Hollywood that like is kind of skewering this process a little bit.
Yeah, I think it was fun. I think it was fun to do the Robert McKee stuff for me, and he was very, very nice. He was really nice and supportive of the project once he was made aware of it.
Yeah, was that a process you had to go through?
Yeah, we had to meet with him, and he said, "I'm okay with everything that makes fun of me. I don't want anything that makes fun of my students," and which I think he was correct about. And whatever that was, I don't remember, but it was removed. And then he suggested Brian Cox to play him, and I don't think we didn't know who he was, and it was like, oh shit, now we have to look at this guy, but he was perfect.
I mean, it's brilliant. It is wild looking at this cast. Young Tilda Swinton, like young Maggie Gyllenhaal, Brian Cox before he was, everywhere. Like it's amazing the group of actors you put together. Were you involved in the casting at all, or was that mostly just Spike?
I mean, Spike talked to me about it, and yeah, I mean, we both met with Meryl, wanted to meet with both of us, and because I think she wanted to understand where we were coming from, like that we weren't going to mock her or something, and I guess we had a nice meeting, and then, but I wasn't like in the auditions or anything.
Did you have Meryl Streep in mind, or what was the process of getting her on board? Or she wanted to do it?
I think it was loosely in the back of my mind, or we talked about it or something, but I don't know if we knew it was actually possible. And then we found out she would be interested, and her kids had showed her being John Malkovich, and so she was, she knew that movie. And
yeah, her son said, "You have to do this."
Yeah, that's right. Her son did say, "Mom, you have to do this." That's right.
And what was it like presenting this to Susan Orlean?
I didn't do that.
Okay.
But what happened was I didn't tell Ed Saxon, who is Jonathan Demme's producing partner, that I was doing this with the script. I just did it because I was afraid that they would say, no, you can't do this. And this is the only idea I had. So I just figured I'd sort of like throw it into their office and run. And Ed was concerned when he was pissed off when he first read the script because...
Well, first, he looked at the cover sheet and, oh yeah, sorry.
No, you tell it. You tell it better. He tells this really well.
No, I'm shy, go ahead.
No, he just looked at it and he was pissed off because he thought I had sort of collaborated with somebody and I wasn't hired as a team.
It's like, who the hell is Donald?
I put it on the cover of the thing that it was written by me and my brother, or somebody with the same last name anyway. And so Ed, and then I think Ed liked it eventually once he realized that, it was a goof kind of. And then he contacted Susan, and I think she ended up liking it. And then there were a couple of things in the script that she also felt were too close to truth for her, which I didn't. It was just stuff I wrote. I didn't research her or anything. So there were a couple of things we cut out. But other than that, she was just open to it. And I think probably it was kind of cool for her that this happened and that Meryl was playing her and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So is Valerie sort of like the Ed Saxon, the Valerie character?
No, Valerie is Valerie Thomas. She was actually a producer in Jonathan Demme's company.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Amazing.
it's pretty accurate.
Yeah. Pretty much a documentary.
That lunch between us happened. Really, really pretty close.
They say write what you know.
And I want to say this, which is kind of interesting, is that I sweat a lot, or I did sweat a lot when I would have these meetings because I was so nervous, and I put this thing in the film, and then it became very public, and it somehow stopped me from sweating. It's okay. I haven't figured out how to apply that to anything else in my life, or rather, I haven't had the courage to. But it's an interesting thing.
I did want to ask, did writing this film cure writer's block for you?
No. No, it's terrible and still terrible.
But do you have any new strategies?
No, I don't. I sort of sometimes remind myself, okay, this is how it goes, for me. But each time feels like it's never going to be resolved. Each time it's just awful for me.
Is it that you don't know what to write that day, or you don't know what the whole thing should be?
I think I need to know what the whole thing should be, and then I could maybe write it. But I can never figure out what it should be, or how to, or I have some idea, but I have no idea how to accomplish it. I feel like I'm not equal to it.
I did want to ask about Malkovich and you guys collaborating on that because it was your feature directorial debut in your first film. When you met and started collaborating, did it feel like you'd found a kindred spirit creatively?
Well, he's going to say no, but I would say yes. No, you. I would say yes.
Yeah, definitely. It did. Yeah, I mean, it was great, and we would have these really, really long meetings at Spike's place where we would go over the script from page 1 to page whatever to the end, and Spike would ask about everything. Like if he didn't understand something, I would have to explain it, and if I couldn't explain it, we'd try to sort of figure out what it should be, and it felt really good. He had very good questions. He's very astute.
And did you do that similar process with the adaptation script as well?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
Because I came on after the first draft of being John Malkovich, and after the first draft, so it was similar in that way.
Spike, you had 2 notable films come out in 2002, this film and Jackass the movie. Were they in production at the same time?
What did we shoot? Jackass shot was much faster, so we, as we were editing Adaptation, we were shooting Jackass, yeah.
That must have been kind of an interesting experience to have both of those movies happening at the same time.
Yeah, it was fun to go back and forth between the two.
Right.
Also, Catherine Keener is here with. Keener, where are you? And her son Clyde. Keener was a big part of both of the movies. Obviously, she was a big part of being John Malkovich, but even as we were doing Adaptation, she was a big part of just. I would call her all the time and ask her questions, talk to her about casting, talk to her about things, conversations I was having with the actors, and she was come by the edit room. And so Keener is a big part of our world.
And she's in it.
And she's in it. She steals the movie.
Yeah. That wasn't like footage from Malkovich. That set was reconstructed for this movie with the cast from Malkovich.
Yeah. At what point did you realize you wanted to speak to Malkovich and incorporate that as well?
Was that in the first draft? I don't recall. I don't think it was.
I don't think it was either. I don't know when that came.
It just seemed really funny.
Yeah.
It was kind of my experience of being on the Malkovich set, was that I was sort of standing in the corner a lot.
Yeah, he kept thinking nobody wanted him there. He's like, no, I won't come by. I don't. And I was like,
I didn't want to be in the way, because everyone's doing something, and I was just sort of standing there trying to avoid people doing things.
Everyone was excited he was there and wanted to talk to him, loved the script. So.
Well, I'm sure you guys have some nice, short, sweet, normal questions. If your question is not normal, put your hand up. Right here, in the gray shirt, yeah.
Hi. One of the many things that I like about your work is your exploration of existential themes. And I just wanted to know, would you call yourself an absurdist? And if so, where do you draw, which literary or philosophical works do you draw inspiration from?
This is for me, yes. I don't really call myself anything, so I don't. I mean, I guess I read absurdist theater, absurdist plays, and I don't know where I draw my inspiration from. I don't know. Sorry.
Yes, green shirt, yeah. Wait for the mic, sorry.
This is sort of in tandem with the last question. My question was a little similar, only in Cinematheque, Hazel is reading The Trial by Kafka, and where we follow Joseph K., whose court follows him, and he's telling Caden. So I imagined that the sort of psychological, lucid dreaming narcissism that happens with Kay was similar to that of Cinematheque and a lot of your leads. So I just find it interesting that we're looking for sources, and maybe that's just speaks to our own narcissism. I don't know. Like, was Kafka part of your thought process, or even in this moment?
I mean, I read a bunch of Kafka when I was a teenager, and certainly, I was drawn to it. So I think it influenced me, and I think the sort of the dreaminess of it is the thing that I was most drawn to.
The black shirt. Yes, you. Yeah.
Hello. This is for Charlie. Sorry, Spike. I didn't expect you. I was curious. I was looking up in your process, especially with how you work with Robert McKee and how you were trying to figure out the whole logistics of the story, and then eventually how you incorporated yourself in the script. And I don't know why. I'm pretty sure you answered this question, but what was the very moment Donald was introduced to the script?
Yeah, well, first of all, I didn't work with Robert McKee, just to clarify that. I took his class, but I did it for research purposes. I decided I wanted to put him in there, and I'd heard about his class, and so I went to his seminar, and I was undercover. And as I think maybe alluded to earlier, I was looking for someone for Charlie to interact with. Once I decided he was going to be one of the main characters, but he's sitting in his room by himself, unable to write, I decided that I would create this identical twin brother, ne'er-do-well brother, and once I did that, and once I had the dynamic between them, it started to be very easy to write, and then at that point, I thought, oh, what if Donald decides that he's going to be a screenwriter, but it's really easy for him, and he does everything, in the way that Charlie despises. He takes McKee, and he talks about genre, and he uses buzzwords and all of that, and that was a really cool thing for me because it gave Charlie something to react to. And then I thought, and what if he's successful, and what if then he offers Charlie help, and Charlie eventually decides that he needs it, and then the movie shifts into this other movie. And so, in other words, he was an idea at first that I just needed first to have someone for Charlie to talk to, but it kind of opened up this whole other plot and storytelling, way of storytelling.
Oh, sorry, I'm walking. Oh, hi, I know you.
Thank you, Katie. Real quick, I don't recall prior to Adaptation being able to walk into a bookstore and buy a screenplay published officially. I'm just curious whether either of you noticed some sort of surge in interest in screenwriting as a profession or as a vocation following the film?
No, I think that, certainly McKee and Sid Field and all of those people had books out about how to write screenplays way, way before this movie. And there were published screenplays way before this movie as well.
Okay, I think we can do like one or two more questions. Anyone have a question for Spike? Okay, yes, sunglasses on your head? Sorry, again, I'm making you run.
Hi, I'm a big fan of the music video director to film director pipeline, and I was wondering if there are other music video directors, short film directors that you really admire, if there's any talent today that you're really excited about.
Yeah, I mean, in terms like, there's Michel Gondry, the people that I was around in the 90s making music videos. There was Michel Gondry, and there was Mark Romanek, and there was David Fincher, and but even now it's like Hiro Murai and the Daniels, and I think it continues to. I remember seeing the Daniels music videos and being really excited for them to do their first movie, and so I think it certainly for me was my film school in a lot of ways, and was an amazing world to get to be in.
Charlie, did you know Spike's videos and work before Malkovich?
No.
I didn't. So this script Malkovich had been kicking around for a few years, and I was working in New York, and I got a call that Spike Jonze was interested in talking to me about this movie, and I looked him up online, and I found, because I spelled it Jones, I guess, I found the son of the band leader, Spike Jonze, who was a producer and had directed some stuff, but it was like some weird television award show stuff that he directed, and I was like, oh, okay. I was so desperate to get into this business that it was like, okay. And then I learned it was this other Spike Jonze, and I started to look at his videos, which are just, extraordinary. So I was very excited.
Okay, final question. Who's in? Okay.
Wait, before the final question,
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking about two things I wanted to say.
Yes, please.
One, which is what Charlie was talking about when we first sat down and started working on the script and going through it page by page and asking questions. I just remember the thing, because I always think about things that I learned so much from Charlie, because I didn't know how to write. I didn't know, really how to even think about writing. But I think the one thing I remember you always talked about was think what is honest and what is dishonest. And I remember thinking about it literally, realizing I was thinking about it the wrong way. I was thinking about it literally, and he was so passionate about it, about things that he felt like movies that were dishonest, that were not, they were trying to, and he has an amazing BAFTA speech. I don't know, who's seen his BAFTA speech, by the way? Yeah, anybody that hasn't, go home and watch it. It's like,
Or watch it now.
yeah, watch it now, pull up your phone.
Everyone take your phones out, yeah.
But I don't know, I think such a big part of who he is his honesty. And even in interviews, you can't be dishonest. And his work is, he talks about it in the BAFTA, like, that you're either saying what's true or you're selling something. And if you're trying to sell something, you can't be saying what's true. And I just think, I don't know, I found I was very young, and he was, I don't know.
I was old.
What's that?
And I was old.
You were smarter though, and went to college. And but I know I just remember just learning a lot from just sitting in that room with you for the first few weeks, and really from every time, all working with him, even till today, the conversations we have. And,
Wait, was there a second thing you wanted to say?
no, this BAFTA was the second thing.
Okay. But I'm sure you learned some directing tips from Spike.
I don't think.
No.
I'm sure I did, but I'm trying to think like if there's anything specific. I wasn't prepared for this. To sort of like, I think Spike had this in his pocket. I learned a lot from Spike, and no, I think he's a great actor's director and obviously visual director, but I don't have a specific story to tell, so shit.
I know there are a lot of questions, but we do have to wrap because Malkovich is coming up soon, so we do have to, I'm so sorry we couldn't get to all the questions, but thank you so much for being here, Spike. We do have to exit to the lobby so that we can